what's going on guys, Liam here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys what I think is the best mastery amulet at max PvP right now. Keep in mind, this is my opinion guys, so I'm not attacking your opinion at any point in this video. I'm just offering my 2 cents on the situation, but without further ado, let's get right into the first school, which is going to be Ice here. So the first thing you want to do when you're looking for a mastery amulet for your school, you're going to want to look at what Rochambeaus you already possess, right? So Ice counters blades, and Ice counters weaknesses, right? So theoretically, you can counter like Storm Scion, Death Scion, but you can't counter a Trap Scion, right? Or, you know, overtimes, but overtimes aren't really prevalent for the most part right now in PvP. So I would only worry about trap counters, and the 2 schools that can deal with that is balance or life. Now the life one, you could heal with a life mastery maybe, but all you really get from that actually is heal overtimes or life blades. Now that's not very helpful, you know, so I actually probably would recommend going with a balanced mastery on the Ice. I have a myth one right now just for some fun, but I like to play aggro, so I use the myth one for like the steel word card, and you know, obviously you can like earthquake and Medusa and just go for a bunch of fun stuff, but I don't think the myth one is best for Ice. I'm just saying this is a fun build to rock, but I definitely recommend the balanced one guys, because again, you'll clear traps on yourself and give yourself pips for it. And that way, as an Ice, you can deal with blade removal, trap removal, and weakness removal. So you actually are covering quite a bit of ground. And the only thing you're really open for is, you know, like heal overtime gambits, like, you know, Storm Gen maybe, or damage overtime gambits. But hardly anybody does those, and it's hard to pull off. So typically, if it does happen to you, you know, you just gotta pull what you want, and you should be able to live it fine. But yeah, guys, again, Ice, balanced mastery for trap stack counters. Definitely cop it if you haven't already. And yeah, let's get on to the next school, which is gonna be Storm. Alright, so on a Storm, actually, personally in this meta, I'm one of those people who don't recommend actually running a mastery on it. However, this is a mastery video, so if I had to recommend one, it would be the infamous Fire Talisman. Reason being this is so good is if they Ellie Shield, you can convert this to heal overtimes with Oni's Forge, and therefore set up your Thundering Djinn, I believe it's called. Yep, right here. You can set that up pretty easily, or if they just set shield, or like hidden shield, or double shield, you can really set this up fairly well. Not to mention, sorry, if you do this and then just click strike and, you know, beetle or hidden bubble, they are kinda royally screwed. This overtime does last for about 5 rounds, so you have a lot of time to set up and play around it. And I don't know, I know Storm can deal with blades and stuff like that, but for the most part, you can't really deal with traps on a Storm very well. Unless you're on a balanced mastery, but on a Storm, like, you're kind of wasting time at that point. You might as well just try and kill your opponent. Like, you're so squishy, it's not worth it, in my opinion. So, I wouldn't recommend trying to counter a bunch of stuff on a Storm Wizard. I'd recommend, you know, going full aggro if you can, and try and run the Fire Mastery to set up your Djinn, because it is an easy, like, 2.3k base damage hit that can be easily buffed and take out your opponent. But yeah, guys, that is the Storm one. Just, you know, short and sweet, really, for this one. There's not really much to talk about. But let's get on to the next school, which will be the Fire School. So here on the Fire, you can deal with traps on yourself and convert those to other people. So we're gonna quickly check it out real quick here. So you deal with shields and traps on yourself. So Fire is in a very good spot right now in terms of the meta and Rochambeaus. So obviously you can break shields, apply pressure, set up gambits, that's one thing. And you can also counter trap stacking naturally. So on a Fire, I think you're going to want to worry about blade removal, most likely, and, you know, maybe dots, dude. So I would recommend using a Death Mastery personally over like a Myth or an Ice. And the reason I like the Death one is simply just honestly personal preference. I think Putrefaction is a great card. A lot of people don't pack weakness counters right now. Not to mention you could pack a Doom and Gloom if you'd like to. And I don't know, man. I really, really like this one. And I can't really give you guys too much objective reasons why. Um, just personally, off of me using it a ton, I've had so much success with it. And it just seems to be very, very good. And I think another reason, honestly, why this is so much better than the ice one is because if you convert blades to shields, a lot of people are running the myth one for the Jin's defense card. They'll just steel ward all those shields, and then like what are you supposed to do? I guess you could use a fire Shambo to deal with that, but I'd rather not make that a problem in the first place and just deal with the weaknesses head on. Am I saying ice and myth are bad masteries to run? Absolutely not. Personally, I've just had more success with this one, and I think it's just better on the school like fire, in my opinion. But yeah, I would definitely recommend the death one. Again, ice and myth are pretty good as well, but personal preference, I would have to go with death for the fire wizard. And yeah, guys, that is the elemental schools. Let's get onto the balance wizard next, and then cover the spirit schools. Alright, so we are on the balance behemoth right now. And on a balance, you can actually counter quite a lot and have a lot of control. So you can clear shields and traps for pips, so you have a trap counter. You can clear blades and weaknesses for pips, so you have a blade counter. And you can actually clear overtimes as well, so you have literally every counter. But the issue with this stuff is it also gives your opponents stuff. So for example, if I wanted to do an Eye of Vigilance, right, if they had, I don't know, traps on themselves or something, or shields, they would also get pips as well. So it is good, but however, you do give them utility to use as well. So I don't know. Personally, in my opinion, on a balance, I haven't really rocked any mastery yet. And I don't know, that's just probably because I think if you rock a mastery and go for like a certain strat, like, I don't know. The Jin, I think, is the heal one, so you could use a fire mastery with the Jin, maybe, but I feel like that is just so situational on a balance. I'd rather not run one, and just use the Rishambos I already have and deal with it. So I wouldn't really recommend any mastery on the balance, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Myth Mastery. And now, the reason I would say a Myth Mastery is because you get the Jin's defense card. You could also go for a Medusa play, which a lot of people wouldn't expect from a balance, right? There's a lot of cool stuff you could go for with that. And Earthquake as well for, you know, like a minion killer. Blade stock removal if you don't have a Rochambeau up. I think in Myth Mastery probably would be the best one to go with here on the balance guys. The rest, again, are just so situational. I don't really think it's worth your time unless you're going for, you know, a certain strategy, like the balance Jin. Where is it here? Like this, like, unless you want to pack this all the time and go for it. I wouldn't recommend using a mastery on a balance, to be honest. But again, probably fire if you're going for the Jin, obviously. But in terms of just playing better and what I think is the best value, probably Myth Mastery or just running one of these amulets here in my backpack. But yeah, guys, that's the balance, and let's get on to the next school. Alright, so we are on the Death Wizard. Now, Death is notorious, essentially, for blade removal. You can use cards like Putrefaction. Where is it here? Oh, I took it out because I was playing aggro, but you can remove, you know, 3 blades for weaknesses and set up a Scion, or, you know, a Monster Mash, which is pretty good. You can straight up just steal the blades with Jin's Larceny as well, which is pretty cool. And I believe you have heal over time counters, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, you do. So you can counter heals over times, and you can counter blades. So Death can deal with storms, and, you know, lives pretty easily for that matter. They can deal with blade removal for that matter. But they struggle with dealing with traps. So for traps, again, you're probably going to want to look at a balance mastery here on the Death, or even just run like a Myth Mastery again for like the Steel Ward, Jin's defense thing, or pulling off a cool Medusa play. You could try and run a life mastery, I guess, but again, death doesn't really have any gambits around heal overtimes. So I don't really see the point in like taking off a trap for heal overtime. I guess, I don't know. I guess you could actually theoretically, now that I think about it, you could rock the life mastery and use the traps to blades, and then use those blades to actually set up your macabre Jin. So that could be a cool strategy y'all could try out here on the death, but personally, I'd probably recommend going with a balanced mastery, guys. Because you can also, you know, reshuffle for a lower pip cost and stuff like that, but then also have just complete control of the battlefield as well. And having control with a school like Death that can drain is very, very important in my opinion. But yeah, guys, I think I'm gonna have to go with the balanced mastery. Myth mastery coming in at a close second. Objectively, balanced mastery just covers more ground. So that's why we are going to be going with the balanced mastery on the Death Wizard. So on the life, you're basically the best at, you know, countering traps. You can turn traps to blades. You can turn traps to heal overtimes as well to set up for your life scion, which is pretty cool. So you can deal with traps, basically is the point. So you're going to need something to deal with blade removal or overtimes. But again, overtimes aren't very prevalent in the meta right now. So I would worry about blades. So blades, you could get a myth mastery for earthquake. Still try Medusa maybe. You could go the death putrefaction route. However, if you do that, you could doom, but if you're on a life, why would you doom? It doesn't really make sense, you know, unless you're against another life, but that's like a 1 in 7 school matchup. I don't think it's worth it. I think ice would be better because you can deal with blades and weaknesses. However, the counter to that would be people just using Jin's defense, and you can't really deal with that on a life right now, unfortunately, unless you run cards like 2-pip shatter, or you know, you just use your new Brûlé card, like the overtime, to deal with the shields. But you can't really do too much, because if you want to deal with shields, then you can't deal with blades, right? So I don't know. I would recommend myth or ice, but honestly, if I had to pick for myself, I would probably say I want to go with the myth mastery. Reason being, I just play more aggressive personally, so I guess I'm going to split this one, guys. If you think you play more defensive, go with the ice mastery, and if you think you play more aggressive on your life, I'd probably say go with the myth. Because myth can earthquake, also kill minions, right? But then you can also not have to deal with people who use Jin's defense on you. You can just Jin's defense and deal with it, so it's pretty cool, actually. So I think I'm gonna split this one, guys. Again, whatever floats your boat. If you're defensive, go for an ice. If you're offensive, go for a myth. So that's what I'm gonna recommend here for the life. And let's get onto the final school, which is the myth behemoth. Alright, so on the school of myth, I actually have a different way on playing. I do recommend running a mastery, but I'm actually using a blade removal mastery. And you're probably like, Liam, bro, you have earthquake, man, you have D-shift, like myth has everything. I guess so, but sometimes on a school like myth where I'm buffing and playing aggressive, I don't want to waste my time in my buffs just on an earthquake. I'd rather just, you know, have the counter in my deck and still proceed to play aggressively. This isn't my deck right now. I just had to, somebody tipped me on stream to like do a myth scion strat with a super dumb pet, so that's not my actual deck. But for the most part, yeah, I don't think it's worth giving up like your mythic fuel and your blade just to earthquake, you know, maybe a minion and a couple of blades. I'd rather just use the putrefaction counter, as you see right here, keep my buffs up, and just, you know, outplay the opponent. Again, I do play very glass cannon and very aggressive, so if this doesn't suit you, you could probably go with a trap counter school. So again, I'm looking at balance, I'm looking at life, but if you go with life, I don't think myth has anything for blades or heal overtimes, unfortunately. They have traps, they have shields, and damage overtimes, not heal overtimes. So I'd probably say a death or a balance mastery So it depends if you want to run Earthquake for blades or not. Personally, I just don't, because I like to play more aggressive. But if you like, you know, if you're cool with running Earthquake, I'd recommend a bounce mastery to deal with the trap counters and obviously the overtimes. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Feel free to let me know what y'all think in the comments below. I know at the end here I kind of had to split them apart, but that's just kind of because they're both very solid, and, you know, there's both defensive and offensive players in Wiz, right? So I'm trying to cater to both sides and, you know, try and tell you guys which one will actually be better for your certain playstyle. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and sub if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, take care, guys.